Hello, welcome to Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Mikhail Tinubu. As always, on Wednesdays, I bring you the latest sports news to keep your fancy and keep your attention around the world. Of course, we always start in Nigeria because home is where the heart is. We'll start with Rivers Angels, and then we'll go out into the rest of the world. We'll touch a little bit on Xavi. He's been taking his first training session, so we know that he has a lot in front of him, but how will he handle it? I have my esteemed guest, Seun Ajidagba, with me this morning to discuss all of that. Seun?
Hello, good morning, Mikhail.
Good morning.
Always a pleasure to join you on Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa.
We love having you. You're font of knowledge, and of course, one of your areas of expertise in sports cricket is on the agenda for this morning, so we'll get to that. But first of all, we start in Nigeria with Rivers Angels in danger of being eliminated from the CAF Women's Champions League after losing 1-0 to South African champions Mamelodi Sundowns at the Ali Stadium in Cairo, Egypt on Tuesday. After losing 3-0 against Morocco's FAR Rabat on match day 1, the reigning Nigerian champions knew that only a win would improve their prospects of qualifying from Group B. Sana Musudi scored a hat-trick in that match, which took place in Cairo El Salam Stadium. However, Rivers Angels were the brighter of the two teams in the early stages of their match against Sundown until the 7th-time Nigerian League champions were pulled back in the 16th minute by a goal from 30-year-old South African defender Zanele Portia Nlapo. The Edwin Okon-trained ladies were unable to equalize despite the inclusion of Chiamaka Okuchukwu and Precious Christopher in the second half. The Nigerians are now bottom of their group with no points, while Sundowns are in first place with 6 points. The chances of them returning back to the summit and even potentially qualifying is slim to none, wouldn't you say, Seun?
Mika, is rather unfortunate that the best team in Nigeria cannot show their prowess on the African continent. This is the maiden edition of the CAF Women's competition taking place in Egypt. And I would have thought that, no disrespect to the other teams in that group, the Liga Queens from Kenya, the team from Morocco, Asfa, and Mamelodi Sundowns, that we should be able to qualify from that group. But to my greatest surprise, Asfa taught us a football lesson. A team from Morocco with Sana Musudi scoring an hat-trick. I couldn't comprehend. But again, you have to ask yourself, what was the traveling arrangement and preparation for this competition like? Because you have always said it. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
Yes, absolutely.
Our planning was next to nothing. And so if you don't buy tickets, you don't win lottery.
But you know one thing,
If we,
Seun, when we watch in Europe, oftentimes for many years, the English Premier League, fans of the English Premier League always push the notion that they are the best league in the world. But European football seems to be leaving them behind. In recent times now, England teams are mostly reaching the semi-finals, and even 2 teams reached the finals last season. Now, the conversation has come back full circle that the Premier League is the best. My question is, if these Nigerian female champions are so woefully behind on the African stage, what does that say about their league in general? Is the Nigerian Women's League just not up to the standard of the rest of Africa, or is this just a fluke?
you have highlighted the problem, and you are so apt. A blind man or a one-eye person in the midst of the blind people will be feeling like one superstar. Not until you get into the midst of people who have 2 eyes, then you know that, there is an issue. But the honest truth is, our league is next to nothing.
Wow.
Those running our leagues should be ashamed of themselves. That people have caught up with us. How can a Moroccan team be beating a Nigerian team? I
3-0.
remember sometimes ago, we used to beat Moroccan female team 9-0, 8 something. They are catching up. And those who are supposed to be at the end of affairs, trying to make the league much more better, are politicizing everything. Mikel, not until we leave government out of running sport, we will continue to be in this quagmire. Because if this was privately owned, they will not travel on the eve of their match, where they had next to nothing as far as training was concerned. And Asphalt tore them apart, beat them 3-0.
So in basically
yes, again,
all of the
they lost against
blame...
Mamelodi Sundowns. You want to say that goal was a controversial goal, and shame on CAF once again, and by extension Patrice Motsepe, that you are having a competition like this and there's no goal line technology. So in your mind, you didn't envisage this kind of problem. Because for the life of my money, that ball did not cross the line. But let's leave that controversial goal. What happened all through the game? This goal was scored in the 16th minute. So what happened all through the game? That they were stunning chances and they cannot convert their chances. Now we are in a dire state. Dire state because we have to go to the market and buy calculators. Everybody is on 3 points, aside from the Rivers Angels team. The Liga Queens has 3 points because they lost their first match against Sundowns. Asfa, who beat Rivers Angels, also lost yesterday to Liga Queens. Only Mamelodi Sundowns has 6 points. But Mamelodi Sundowns who has 6 points are still not true. So we have a mathematical chance of qualifying. But because a team that has not scored in 180 minutes, they need about 3 goals and wait for another team to do them a favor. Because their fate is not in their hands. Their fate is in the hands of another team.
Well, it's always important in sports to take your own fate into your own hands and not to rely on your enemies slipping up. But on to Barcelona's new head coach, Xavi Hernandez, who led his first Barcelona training session at Camp Nou on Tuesday, November 9th. Before taking to the pitch, the 41-year-old Barca great joined Barcelona president Joan Laporta as they greeted players including Ansu Fati, Martin Braithwaite and Ousmane Dembele in the locker room before heading out for training. Xavi joined the La Liga side as head coach after Barca paid his release with Qatari club Al Sadd. He replaces side manager Ronald Koeman. Now, Xavi has a lot in front of him. We've talked in the past, a debate back and forth about whether he's ready for this awesome task. I wonder, though, one of the issues ahead of him is the consideration that Ousmane Dembele will be offered a new contract. He has to find a way to get these crop of players playing because, you know, the Barcelona board do not have the money to splurge in the winter transfer window or even in the summer transfer window. But is keeping Ousmane Dembele a worthwhile decision? Or will it come back to bite Xavi? Because it seems to me the board makes more problems for their managers.
You know, this thing is very funny. Funny in the sense that when Ousmane Dembele was in Germany playing for Borussia Dortmund, I don't think you will mention 4 players in Borussia Dortmund and you will not mention Ousmane Dembele because of his talent.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he got to Spain and started picking up injuries. I cannot see any season where Ousmane Dembele has even played half of the season without coping an injury. And that Xavi that he said, when he got there, he told former midfield Joanjo Brau and Albert Roca, who are physios hired by Ronald Koeman, that they should go because of the injury crisis in the club. So I don't know how they are going to solve this problem. They are in a dire state because they are far behind from the chasing pack. If you ask where Barcelona is in the log, as far as Spanish La Liga is concerned, they are almost on 9-10 points behind the team topping, which is Real Sociedad. and by extension, by Real Madrid, their biggest rival.
You know what? In England, it's always a big debate. Who's going to win the league? And then the second debate is who's going to finish in the top four. Usually we know the perennial winners. We know most of who's going to finish in second and third place. Fourth place is usually, up for grabs at any given time. But now with Barcelona's crisis, are they likely to even fail to finish in fourth, even with the possibility of their messiah Xavi potentially fixing their season?
He needs to get them to work as quickly as possible. But the question again is, does Barcelona have talent? It says no. Because if you look at some of the players there playing the league, they are guys who should be playing in Copa del Rey. You hear names like Pedri, you hear names like Clement Lenglen, you hear names like Balde,
Gavi,
Pedro Des.
Nico.
These are guys ideally shouldn't be playing in the team of Barcelona. And another problem is, while the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, and all of them were coming up, and they had a successful Pep Guardiola, don't forget he was the coach of the La Masia. And he has seen all those boys, the Messis and all of them, the Fabregas. And so he was quick to integrate them into the first team. But that same La Masia that we always talk about to be a factory of talent is not producing those talents anymore. And that's the problem. Sergio Kun Aguero is out for a while again because he has a chest problem. All hopes rest on Frankie de Jong. Luke de Jong, I beg the pardon, because Frankie de Jong is injured. And Matthew Depay. So it's a problem for Barcelona. How Xavi will get this going is a tough task. And you talk about the top four. They have to say that have 28 points. And they are topping, followed by them and Liga have 27.
My
you find Barcelona in ninth position with 17 points. And you cannot bet to say Barcelona will not still tumble. When you lose to teams like Rayo Vallecano, you lose some unbelievable games. You surrender a 3-0 lead against Vigo.
My worry, Seun, is that with Xavi taking over Barcelona, he risks diminishing his iconic status with the fans, given that even with Ronald Koeman being in charge and being a Barcelona legend himself, the fact is he had such little resources to work with. Nearly half of his first team, 25, were injured out or had been shipped out, like in the case of Griezmann. Now, Xavi is supposed to come into this knowing that he will have these very same problems that Ronald Koeman had that got him fired. It's unlikely that he can make anything of this in time for them to finish even in top 2 or top 3. But let's move on because we don't have too much time. Footballer Marcus Rashford received a Member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, from the Duke of Cambridge on Tuesday, November 9th, for his services to vulnerable children during the COVID-19 pandemic. The 24-year-old Manchester United and England forward, who successfully campaigned to extend free school meals in the summer of 2020, received the award at Windsor Castle and dedicated it to his mother, who was in attendance to watch the ceremony. Last month, Rashford became the youngest recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Manchester. Seun, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, no matter what club you support, Rashford is a legend and an example for all.
It was great to see him do that, do what he was doing during that pandemic period. Over 1.3 million children, feeding them, and that made the government to adopt this policy. But he has said he will not stop at that. I was happy to see Prince Charles do what he knows how to do. It's been a while he did it, and he said he was very excited doing it. Congratulations to Marcus Rashford for winning the Member of the British Empire. He said that award was going to give it to the mom because the mom was instrumental to whatever it became today. And he said he was grateful that the mom raised the 4 children.
You
So
know,
she's deserving of it.
at
The mom
only
even followed him to
24,
that place. And he said he will not stop at what he's doing. But as much as he does that, Marcus Rashford, my heart is in Manchester United. What you are doing off the
at
field,
just 24,
translate it to on the field.
at just 24, Marcus Rashford has set not a singular example for what even we in Nigeria can do as individuals. Because he did not wait. He used this platform as, with all of his financial advantages in life, with the fame and reputation that he already has accrued at just 24. He took it upon himself to do something for his community, to look back into his own past and see in the faces of the children he was helping, his face, a face of a child who depended on government funding for a meal program that was in the moment of the pandemic seriously endangered. In Nigeria, we can all take a lesson from activism of such levels, can't we?
You have just encapsulated my thoughts. But let's not go to the issue of Nigeria, because we heard at some point in time that there were school feeding program even during the pandemic. And I was looking around my area for children who were benefiting from that scheme. But like I've always said in Nigeria, all we do is vibe and inshallah. God will help us.
All right. England captain Ian Morgan has said his side are favourites against New Zealand in the semi-final of the 2020 World Cup on Wednesday, November 10th, as he kept a lid on revealing who would replace the injured opener Jason Roy. The 2010 champions will have to rejig their top order after opener Jason Roy's tournament was caught short by a calf injury during their final group match against South Africa. While many expect Johnny Burstow to partner Butler, Morgan believes England are spoiled for choice within the squad. Armed with an explosive batting lineup, England could also be tempted to include bowling all-rounder David Willey to strengthen their attack against New Zealand. Morgan said a final call would be taken after assessing the pitch at Abu Dhabi's Zayed Cricket Stadium. Roy is the second England player after paceman Timal Mills to sustain injury during the tournament, which cut short their campaign. Seun Ajidagba is a lover of cricket, and he's in a better position to explain what this potentially means for the England team. Injuries upon injuries. Are they still able to compete against New Zealand?
Semi-final of the T20 Cricket World Cup. Today is the first semi-final, England against New Zealand. It's a repeat of what happened in the final of the last World Cup that England hosted and they won in super over. New Zealand have lost back-to-back World Cups. They lost against Australia in the previous final, and just in 2019, they lost another final to England. It's like a revenge on the mind of the team that we call the Kiwis. But you have to look at some star players today, the likes of Tim Southee, Adam Milne, Mitchell Santa, Ishodi, Ken Williamson, Martin Guptill. These are guys that will want to do well for New Zealand. And for England, one man you have to lean towards is Josh Butler. 240 runs, highest score in this tournament, 101 runs not out, averaging 120 with 13 sixes. But the loss of Jason Roy is a big loss for Ian Morgan. But they still have some guys that they can promote to fill in the void. The question is, will Ian Morgan go for the likes of Johnny Besto, David Lammalan, Liam Livingstone, or Moeen Ali? But it promises to be a fantastic cricket semi-final. Tomorrow it will be the turn of Australia against Pakistan. Pakistan has been one of the star performers at this tournament. Surprisingly, India got knocked out of the tournament, and West Indies, who are defending champion, were shambolic. But I feel that England still have enough reserve to get to the final. And England, who got to the final the previous year, lost in the final against West Indies. So they want to win the 50 overs game, and they also want to win the ODI.
You
the
know,
T20.
Seun, I always say you are the go-to man on cricket, and Wale agrees with me, although I've told him in the past, and I'm going to tell you now, you need to set up a master class program for just you and I. I need to learn everything, and I know you're the teacher for me. Thank you for joining us this morning, Seun. It's been a pleasure having you.
Michael, consider your request granted.
Thank
By
you
the
so much.
special grace of God, I should be in the live studio of Plus Sport on Plus TV Africa, channel 408 on DSTV on Saturday.
We
I'd
look
like to
forward.
say big thank you to you, Michael Tinubu, and to entire crew of Plus Sport and on Plus TV Africa. God will enlarge your coast beyond your imagination. I
Thank you.
remain indebted to you people.
Thank you so much, so much. It's always a pleasure. I leave you with Andy Murray, who beat Victor Durasovic in straight sets to move through to the second round in Stockholm. Murray, who's playing in his last event of 2021, eased through the opener 6-1 before edging the second set tiebreak 9-7. The 34-year-old will face top seed and world number 10 Yannick Sinner next. Now, thank you for joining us at home, at work. I am Mikhail Tinubu, Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. Have a lovely day.